senior citizen. It's anybody somebody that has a coupon wants to offer the offer to. Blues Weekend is this weekend. If you haven't gotten your tickets, you need to get those. I did this little report, and I didn't do one for everybody, but this is a comparison of where we were same day last year to ticket sales this year. Nancy tells me that most of it is walk-up. So, this is just an indication that if it is mostly walk-up, it may be a good year for Blues, because on Thursday at this time they had sold 55 tickets last year. This year they're at 129, Friday 76, this year 156, and Saturday of last year was 120 at this time, and this year it's 204. So
this is just auditorium?
Yes, just auditorium.
That's terrible. That's really bad.
And a workshop on social media is probably about 2 weeks away. I'm still in the process of getting some information from a firm that wants to do social media work for us. And I want to be able to do a comparison of that against employing or shifting people to do that. So that's in the middle. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Jim? Okay, on to commission business. The first item is a write-off policy. And I guess, Jim, you're going to...
Well, the auditors have given us our preliminary audit report, and it's being reviewed by the Legislative Audit Committee right now. But one of the things that they did write us up for, as we had anticipated, was the Jack Holly situation. And in our sign-off, it has that if we're going to do things like that, we should have a write-off policy, so that when the auditors audit us, we can show them that that was done in accordance with policy. And right now, we do not have a write-off policy. So Sheila wrote what she wrote, and I looked at it. It looked fine to me. We got a bunch of notes on it.
Yeah, I did.
We have lots of notes.
Scribbles, mostly, yeah. One of the things I think that the policy needs to state, of course, up front, is that the write-up, this is only after due process has been followed in accordance with our current collection guidelines, which we do have those collection guidelines.
Well,
and this is sort of an after the fact.
This is pertaining to businesses that are no longer operating, so we really have no recourse at that point, because they don't operate and they leave. So
yeah, I understand.
That's
but it would seem like before you ever do a write-off, there's another process you have to go through.
Absolutely.
And that was just to reference that, so someone who picks this up doesn't say,
absolutely.
Oh, well, if it's over $50, I'm not going to have to pay.
No. Yeah, no.
So that was just,
You're right about that, yes.
So it should say at the first, only after all our other collection procedures were followed.
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
That was just assumed in my mind.
Well, yeah, and it would be, but...
what I wrote here is only after due process is followed or business is no longer operating for 6 months. Because often we know we have a business that closes one place and reopens somewhere else shortly after that.
In the balance is over $50. In reality, I guess it's not written off by the operations director with commission approval. It's basically written off by the commission.
Okay.
So you could probably...
And that, once again, was just that I would do the physical portion. Okay, so take out just with commission approval. Yeah.
And then the next item, I understand the next item, but that's really not part of the write-off policy, is it? Isn't that really just part of the collection process? And after so I guess I'm saying it doesn't really even need to be in a write-off policy, really.
Well, I will file the lien, but it will come off of the books.
Okay, so there's a second step to this. Well, and I see what you're saying, is that we're going to write it off even though we have done a lien.
But if it ever comes to fruition, then it will be put back
You know,
on.
how do you put it back on the books?
Just show it as a,
Income.
As
Just an
income.
or miscellaneous.
yeah, for miscellaneous.
Oh, I have a
Okay, but it
question.
doesn't say in here that we're, I'm sorry, that we're
No,
really
that's
dropping
all right.
it.
Go
We're
ahead,
just
I have a
saying that
question, though.
if there's a balance over $1,000, a lien will have been placed, and the $1,000 can be, I guess, written off with approval of the commission. Is that what you're saying? Or
Yes. Once again,
Or at
just
the end
assuming.
of this sentence, it'd say, and receivable taken off the books. You know, if she
Yeah,
filed the
okay.
lien, then the receivables taken off the books.
now, when you take the receivable off the books, is that the same as writing it off, basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes. It would be filed as a bad debt on the books.
Okay.
So, lien will be recorded and receivable will be written off.
Yeah, and does anyone think that needs approval? Because in effect, we are writing it off. Does that need approval by the commission? Is that,
Well, won't it come to us before the lien is filed, or does that not come here?
If a business, for instance, there's a particular business that owes us about $8,000 right now. I know the property's for sale, so my first action is to run down there and put a lien on it.
If we wait for a commission meeting, we may well miss the revenue from the sale. And I can tell you, some of those people, 48 hours after they're sold, they're gone. You're never gonna see them again.
So, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, really, it doesn't happen that often. We have a few current liens right now, but they're for really, for larger amounts.
I
So,
just wasn't aware of the policy.
yeah, I mean, it certainly.
Paragraph,
I've never gotten commission approval to file a lien before,
Right.
so.
paragraph 2 doesn't mean, if we approve this write-off policy, it doesn't mean that we're just going to automatically write off anything between $50 and $1,000. I mean, that's still at our option. We don't, we can decide not to. We can decide to go to small claims court or something with it. And if we file a lien, if the business is still in operation, I mean, if we have financed an event or something that was incorporated as a business, and that business dissolves and then reforms under another name, does that lien get carried over? How does that work? If it's I don't know, Music Guys Incorporated that's doing an event and they go broke, so they just declare bankruptcy, and then they reform as Eureka Music Company to do something else. Is the lien carried over?
The lien is filed on a property, on a piece of property,
Okay.
not on a business.
But not on a business. Okay,
Right.
so then if somebody without assets
We have
forms
no.
a business,
You have
then we
no
have
recourse.
Okay,
Other
now
than
I'm
recourse.
understanding it. Okay.
Right.
This is primarily for our collectors, though. Not.
Restaurants and lodging, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm still thinking of this in relation to the Jazz Festival and how we got into that mess to begin with. Although that's what we finally ended up deciding, that the court judgment stood and there was nothing we could do about it. But they didn't really have any assets to begin with, the Jazz Festival group. Okay, so, oh well.
So any balance over $1,000 for a business that is no longer operating, where a lien is possible, the operations director will have a lien recorded